After a big day in the Premier League title race on Sunday, Liverpool are now leading the way with just 9 games to go this season, but they can't afford to spend too much time celebrating that fact because the games are coming thick and fast at the moment, and they have to deal with a game against Sheffield United at Anfield on Thursday. And I think because this is a 2-game week, and obviously coming off the back of a Sunday fixture as well, you're going Sunday, Thursday, and then Sunday again. Obviously that next game after this one is against Manchester United at Old Trafford. I think this is not the most straightforward team selection for Jurgen Klopp. I think he has to bear in mind how much energy was put into that game against Brighton, but also the fact that Liverpool have got a really tough fixture coming up on Sunday, and they're going to have to be at their absolute best and have a lot of legs available for that game on that big Old Trafford pitch. So I think even though this one is a game that people would say is straightforward against Sheffield United, a team who've really struggled in the Premier League this season, I still think it's maybe a tricky team selection because Jurgen Klopp has got to balance a lot of things up now. I've had a go at picking a starting 11 for this one, and as usual I'm going to ask you before you watch the video, maybe stick your starting 11 in the comments and then come back after I've made my arguments about who I think it should be. I'm going to have a crack at saying who I think should start anyway, and I'll start as ever with the goalkeeper, and that is an easy pick, one of the straightforward ones to start with, isn't it? It's going to be Quevin Kelleher. Obviously Alisson Becker is out injured until we think maybe about mid-April, so not too long to wait for him to be back, but also no real rush, you have to say, because Quevin Kelleher has been in outstanding form, hasn't he, since he's come into the side, since the Alisson injury. I think he really underlined that on Sunday, actually, with the late save he makes from that Lewis Dunk header. He's just been top class since he's come in, so absolutely no worries about him starting this one. And I think again he'll probably be in the goal as well at Old Trafford following that up, and then we'll see after that how long his spell between the sticks lasts. If Alisson is back fit, then who does he expect? But as I say, no qualms absolutely about putting him in here, and I'm very sure that he's going to be strong between the sticks as he has been so far this season. Now I'll move into the defence now and start at right back, and I do think some decisions to make here around the full back areas for this game. And I think Conor Bradley was obviously the man who started against Brighton with Joe Gomez on the other side playing at left back, as he has done so well. But I think there's an opportunity and probability of some rotation here, and the reason for that is that the primary driver for me is that I think you need Conor Bradley in at right back at Old Trafford this weekend. I think he didn't start the FA Cup game, and although Liverpool played well for large periods of that game, I still think they missed a little bit of energy from Bradley down that right hand side, and I really would like to see him start this latest visit to Old Trafford, to be honest. And for that reason, I think you don't want to put too many minutes in his legs. You want to manage his minutes a little bit and make sure he's in peak physical condition for that trip to Old Trafford. And I think it's an opportunity, this one, to maybe give him a rest. Maybe he can come in late in the game if you need to make some changes. That's absolutely fine. But I think I would like Conor Bradley to be maybe given the rest for this one, with one eye on maybe starting at Old Trafford. And for that reason, obviously, if I'm going to leave Conor Bradley out, then someone needs to come in at right back. Trent Alexander-Arnold is still injured, of course, and so that leaves it for Joe Gomez, who I'm going to drag from that left back position that he's done so well in recently, and put him in on the right, which again is a position he's filled in at numerous times over the course of this season. I do actually think I'm going to give up a team selection for Old Trafford. I do think maybe if I'm going to go Conor Bradley for that one, I would also like Joe Gomez at left back in that game. And so, as I say, there's maybe a case here for, okay, if Joe Gomez only does 60 minutes and maybe Conor Bradley comes in and does 30, or you make the change whenever you feel the game is won, if hopefully Liverpool do get themselves in that position. So I'm going to drag Gomez over, as I say, from that left back position and put him in at right back, and I think that gives up, and so I'll skip to the other side quickly because I think that gives up who I'm going to put in at left back. I don't expect Andy Robertson to be back from this one, and as I say, Joe Gomez on the other side. Therefore, it's got to be Kostas Tsimikas, hasn't it, in at that left back position. I think I like when he's in the team at the moment. I see what Joe Gomez is doing and doing really well when he inverts into that midfield position. It was actually really handy for the way that Liverpool played through Brighton's midfield at the weekend. But I do think there are games like this against Sheffield United where you think the opposition are going to be camped in their box, and the best way to get around them and pull them out of the shape is to have real width, and that is why I think Tsimikas is a really good option for this game, because I think he will hold that width down the left-hand side. He's obviously left-footed, he brings that naturally, and I think that's a good mix for Liverpool in games like this. And obviously if you've got the options there in your squad and you've got a top-class left-back option like Tsimikas waiting there, and it gives you the opportunity to rotate in other positions. As I say, in this situation, maybe bringing Bradley out the side, then I think you absolutely have to take it. So a good opportunity for Tsimikas to come in, and I think he hasn't let Liverpool down at all when he's been called upon this season. I'm a big backer of him, really, as a backup left back. I think he's very, very good. So I think, again, another one you'd have no questions over coming in to start this one. Now, moving to the centre halves, and I think I'll probably start with the easy one, and that is the captain, Virgil van Dijk. He can just, I touch wood, you don't want to curse him by saying this, but he can play and play and play, can't he? He sort of cruises through a lot of games, and he's so robust, isn't he? So again, he's just an obvious pick at centre half in pretty much every game between now and the end of the season, and I absolutely think that he'll be starting this one. Again, if there's any concerns about minutes, I believe he played 2 90s back to back for the Netherlands over the international break. Then maybe you can sub him off around the 60-minute mark. That's something that Jurgen Klopp will have to think about in this game, with having a Sunday game off the back of it, particularly as it's one where you think, can Liverpool build up a decent lead that puts them in the position to make those changes looking ahead to the weekend? And maybe Van Dijk is a candidate for that, but he absolutely has to be on the starting lineup for me. No questions about that. And alongside him, obviously, Jarell Quansah did so well against Brighton, didn't he? And he's flying every time he comes into the side at the moment, playing very, very well. And so he maybe feel unlucky not to start this one. But I'm going to go with Ibrahima Konate, and the reason for that is that, as good as Quansah's been, I think Konate is just top class, isn't he? I think he has to be part of that first choice back two, or the pair of centre halves alongside Van Dijk, really, whenever he's fit. And I think as much as the fact he played for France in the international break was a consideration in not putting him in the team against Brighton, I also think that Jurgen Klopp maybe had one eye on the idea that he's going to have to go Thursday, Sunday, and he didn't want Konate, with the history of muscle issues he's got, for him to go Sunday, Thursday, Sunday. That is a big ask for a player with his injury record, and you want to keep him fit at this stage of the season. It's very easy to throw Quansah in there. So I think that decision was taken with the idea that Konate would play the next two. So I expect him to be in for this Sheffield United game, and then also at Old Trafford at the weekend. So that completes my back four, and I'll move into the midfield now and start in the holding role. And again, I think an obvious pick got to be Wataru Endo, the way he's playing at the moment. No real worries over him with minutes, because obviously Japan had a fixture cancelled over the international break, which was incredibly handy, so absolutely fine to throw him in for this one. No worries about that, and I'm sure he can get through probably the entire 90 and then go to Old Trafford and not really have any problems with doing that there. Again, he's another one who's sort of really robust, isn't he, and got a lot of energy that he can get through. So no qualms about him starting these ones back to back, as I say, because his international minutes were cut down as well. That is extremely helpful to Liverpool, and the way he's playing that holding midfield role at the moment, he's just absolutely vital to Liverpool, isn't he? And again, if you do have any concerns, again, I think if you're the manager, if you want to manage his minutes, can that happen late in the game? Maybe. But I think for this one, again, it has to absolutely start and provide that foundation in midfield that he has done for all of the season pretty much, or certainly since that sort of slow start he had to his life at Liverpool. He's really kicked on since then and become utterly crucial. Now, I'll move into the 2-8s ahead of him, and I think there are some selection decisions to make here. I think one that I'll go with is maybe the more obvious one, and that is Alexis McAllister absolutely starting. I mean, I said in the review after Brighton when I was at Anfield that I think he might be Liverpool's most important player at the moment. And I think particularly in a game like this where you're up against a low block, they'll try and make things difficult for you. You need that little bit of magic and passing range and vision that McAllister brings. So important to use him. I also think Liverpool kind of got fortunate with how he was used over the international break. I believe one substitute appearance totaling around 17 minutes and then a start, but that only lasted for 60 minutes. So that, again, he should be full of energy. No real worries that his workload is over the top. And again, if you any concerns about him being fresh for Old Trafford, you can maybe take him off late in the game. But I think he should be able to get through these two back-to-back, no problems. And as I say, so important at the moment. You want him in a game like this, and I think starting him to gives you a better chance of Liverpool building a decent lead up before a decent stage of the match. And then if they can do that, they can make whatever changes they like. So absolutely have to start McAllister. But I've made a little bit of a tweak in the midfield position next to him, and some good reasons for that. And obviously Dominic Szoboszlai started against Brighton, didn't he? And actually had a really busy international break, and he played 90 minutes for Hungary back to back, and then came and played 89 minutes against Brighton. So I think there's an opportunity here to rest him and look after him. He's had muscle injuries already this season, hasn't he? Missed some football because of that. So really want to be careful around Szoboszlai. Don't want to put too many minutes in his legs. And I think, again, it's a game against Sheffield United at Anfield. Liverpool should have enough on the pitch elsewhere to not have to put out their absolute best starting 11. And they've got United on Sunday as well. They've got to think about that. So for me, I think this is a prime position where you're looking at making a change, particularly as Liverpool's midfield options now are starting to grow a little bit and they're getting players back fit. Hopefully Curtis Jones will be back in for the squad for this one, though I would never expect him to start with the time he's been out. And for that reason, I think the obvious change in here is maybe to throw in Ryan Gravenberch again. You know, he's been back for a while now. He made the bench just before the international break, so he's been fit and training for a long, long time over the international break as well. He didn't have any international commitments because he wasn't called up. So I think he should be ready for a start in this one, and I think it's a comfortable situation to throw him in against a Sheffield United team where I think his dribbling and his ability to break the lines will be kind of important in a game like this. And it's a good test for him and a good sort of game where he can break the lines and use his skills really nicely. So I think he's a good fit to come in for this one, and it gives Szoboszlai a rest. So I think that's really, really important. So I would like him to see him in there. I think Gravenberch's a starter for me. Maybe that's a little bit harsh on Harvey Elliott, and if Jurgen Klopp does make that call in midfield, maybe Elliott's the one he'd go with. But I do think the thing that Gravenberch has got going for him is maybe set-piece defending. That's something that Sheffield United are going to look for. They like to sling crosses in as well. And Gravenberch's just got that little bit more height, hasn't he? And I think that maybe counts against Elliott maybe starting in this game. But we will have to see. That's a decision for the manager to make. But I do think as a starting point, he should be maybe looking to rest Szoboszlai for this one. Now, I'll move into the front three now to finish up. And on that right wing, I think this is a really easy pick, isn't it? Mohamed Salah, I mean, again, in terms of managing his minutes across the season, he's missed a lot of football, hasn't he? And obviously, that is so rare for him. To miss the amount of football. In fact, it was incredible that his start against Brighton was the first one he'd made for Liverpool since in the Premier League since New Year's Day, which shows you how long he'd been out and how much football he'd missed for Liverpool. So great to have him back, and we know how robust he is and capable of playing back-to-back 90s. So, you know, again, I would have no qualms about keeping him on the pitch here. And again, if Liverpool get up, Jurgen Klopp will absolutely be able to tell him, look, rest on the pitch. If you can't use a sub or he's not got enough subs to get through, just rest on the pitch. Don't overdo it in terms of the running and the pressing that you're doing in the latter part of the game. Just take it easy. And if not, if he feels he has to manage his minutes, again, he's another one. Bring him off on 60 if you need to, because you're going to absolutely need to start him at Old Trafford. No doubt about that. Now, alongside him, I'll maybe go to the left wing and a starter there, which again I think is a really obvious one, and that is Luis Diaz, because you've got no Diogo Jota to come in down that left hand side, and I know Gakpo can play there, but not a massive fan of him on the left wing, if I'm honest. So really, I think Diaz is one where you'd ask him to start again here. Another one who, you know, he gets through a lot of work, doesn't he, on the pitch? He's a real grafter. And again, so does that make him a candidate to be brought off early if there's an opportunity? We will have to see on that one. But I think it's, you know, with the options, with missing Jota down that left-hand side in particular, I just think Diaz has got to start a lot of games at the moment. And this is another one where you probably need him. But I'm going to make one change to this starting 11 in terms of up front, and maybe one that people won't like, I'm not sure, but we'll have to see. But it's bringing out Darwin Núñez and swapping him in for Cody Gakpo. And you know, it's maybe harsh to bring out Darwin Núñez at the moment. I mean, I think he's such a crucial part of that attack, and I absolutely, you know, if it was a cup final tomorrow, he would 100% be on the starting 11. But he's had muscle issues this season, hasn't he? And seems to have consistently struggled with those. And I think those really intense periods have been kind of harsh on his body, and he's struggled to get through those. So I think, again, it's Sheffield United at home. Do you desperately need Darwin Núñez to be in your starting 11, particularly with a trip to Old Trafford coming up? I would say not. I think, you know, opportunity to give him a rest. Make sure you see the absolute fittest and best version of him at Old Trafford on Sunday. Again, he can come off the bench in this one, absolutely, to keep his rhythm up. But I just think you've got those options up top. Make use of them, and for that reason, I've gone with Cody Gakpo in that starting lineup as the starting centre forward. I think, you know, Gakpo's had a lot of criticism this season, but still scored a decent amount of goals and picked up a decent amount of assists. And I think in games like this, where you're up against the so-called weaker opposition, you've got to make use of the fact that you've got rotational options up top, and really, you know, make sure that your squad comes through a Thursday to Sunday period, you know, without having picked up more muscle injuries or had any issues with fatigue. And I think, you know, you can't have Gakpo just sitting there because he's going to end up on the bench at Old Trafford. There's no question about that in my mind. So use him as a starter in this one. I've not, he's a goal threat as well. He can score goals, and I think in a game that Liverpool will dominate, will be really handy in terms of his ability to move the ball, hold it up, and he's a good presser as well. So hopefully this will be an opportunity for him to come in, maybe get some goals for his confidence, because I think that took a little bit of a knock before the international break. By all accounts, played well for the Netherlands actually during that break, so hopefully that's given him a boost. And if he can come back in now and get the confidence boost of a goal against Sheffield United, yes, he'll probably end up back on the bench on Sunday, but can he be a key player off the bench there? And Liverpool need him to be a key player between now and the end of the season, because there are so many games to come, and he will play a big part in that, no doubt. So that's my starting 11 from top to bottom for Liverpool against Sheffield United. As ever, let me know in the comments what you think. Maybe you think I've got this one completely wrong, or you think Jurgen Klopp will go in a slightly different way. But this is the 11 I'm going with anyway. If I was the manager, thankfully for everyone who's watching, I'm not the manager. I'm not the one picking the team. But we'll see how this one goes and how close I get on this prediction. As I say, let me know in the comments. Always good to hear from you guys, and if you can like and subscribe as well, that's always a massive help. Channel experiencing a lot of growth at the moment, which I absolutely love, and love engaging with you guys on the comments as well. So thank you very much for that. So I'm going to leave it there, and of course with the game coming so soon, I'll see you for the post press conference video, and then it'll be from Anfield for the post match review. So see you then.